Hey, what's going on, everyone? This video, we're looking at the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR picks for tonight, starting in about 2 hours. Obviously, had to wait to make this video until we got the qualifying positions. Now that we got that about an hour ago, spent the last hour doing some research and kind of figured out the guys that I want to target tonight. So let's get right into it. We don't have too much time to waste. All I ask is that you hit the like button if you want before we start, or maybe after if you enjoy it. I'm going to talk about the drivers that I liked a lot on DraftKings, starting with Kevin Harvick, starting 22nd, looking like a tremendous play, just because he's a guy that usually qualifies in the top 10. Now that he's starting in the 20s, last time he started in the 20, he finished third, but it's just a spot that he can get you big time place differential points, and we know he's one of the best drivers. So 22 is just a very nice spot for him. It's a long race, so plenty of opportunity for him to move into the top 5, top 10. Martin Truex Jr. is the other guy. He has dominated this track in the past, dominates in Charlotte. He looked pretty good in qualifying, starting eighth, which is I think is a fine spot. You know, he's close to the top, but he's not too far back. But I kind of would have preferred him to finish like maybe in the teens in qualifying, but he is just a very nice driver just because of his history at this track. He has dominated and looking for another win in Charlotte tonight. At 10-6, he's also, I think it should be one of the most expensive drivers on the slate, just based on how good of a racer he is in this track. And then I'd say Chase Elliott looks good at 97 just because he's pretty cheap. We know he's pissed off after what happened to him last time out. Was in a great position to finish second in that race before before he got crashed by Bush. But 97 for him looks pretty good. Don't love that he's starting third, but I think if you're making a bunch of lineups, you should definitely be in consideration. Kurt Busch also looking fine at 8,700. He has won the pole, starting first in this track. Hopefully, he can get you some laps led in the beginning part of the race. Ryan Blaney is another guy that I would have a lot of interest in, just because he's a guy that usually qualifies in the top 10. Now that he's starting in the 20s, he's a good driver. Potentially can get into the top like 15, top 10, and get you those big time place differential points. Also very affordable at 8,100. Alec Almora is going to be the chalk play. Tough to fade him. He is starting dead last because he spun out during qualifying. He's also another guy that, as you see, he's always qualifying in the top like 10. So the fact that he's starting dead last at a very nice price point makes him the best play, I would say, on the slate. Just very, very tough to fade in tournaments. In cash, he should be a lock. So 7,500 for Almora is the first guy that I would start my lineup with. Another cheap guy that I like is Matt DiBiano at 7,200 on DraftKings. Just starting 33rd. I think he can really pay off that salary based on that starting position, based on potentially getting those big time place differential points, which is huge on DraftKings at 7,200. He looks like a nice cheap option. And then some more cheap options that I like would say Chaston here, Ross Chaston at 6,900, starting in the 20s, I believe. Looks like a chance for him to potentially get you some place differential points and move in to the top 10. Not top 10, but like move into maybe the teens. And I don't know why it's frozen. And I'd say the last guy I probably would mention is Martin Truex Jr. on DraftKings, just because of how good of a racer he is during this track. So I'd probably say that based after the core plays I mentioned, and then maybe if you need another cheap option, you have like Cole Custer, 6,400 looks fine. But really, I love DiBiano at 7,200. I love Almora, obviously, going to be like a lock play. And then I would try to get to Martin Truex and Kevin Harvick would be my two guys that I like to pay up for. On FanDuel, pretty similar, I would say. Truex is more expensive, as you would expect, but Kevin Harvick is the first guy at 12.5, starting 22nd. And then Almora, also a lock on both sides for me. And then the third guy, I would say, definitely think you could look at like Matt DiBiano on FanDuel is also pretty nicely priced, 7,300. If you want to pay up a little bit, FanDuel is a little bit easier to pay up for more spots. I'd say Ryan Blaney 80 or starting 26 at 10-2 looks really, really good. So those are the quick core plays for NASCAR for tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Thanks for watching and good luck today.